Thanks so much for coming out on a mid-winter's night. It's very good to see you, and just careful you don't set yourself alight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And also a bit overwhelming to see you. Please, perhaps Becky, would you like to just move into the space and everyone can follow Becky, who's going to dance while I speak.
I can't stand him.
So that, just so that everyone can, everyone can, just to be warm, I think. Come and be warm. I would like to share, firstly, I think I know sort of all of you, but for the record, because there is a record, my name is Amaara Raheem, and I have had the great privilege and opportunity and pleasure to be one of the front studio resident artists here at Temperance Hall in May and June. And I would like to share a little bit about the contexts that underpin this residency and this work in progress sharing tonight. But before I do that, I just want to say a little bit about the document. We've been thinking very long and hard about how to document an intimate telling. And one of the requests is that you are free to not document it in any way by turning off your phones for an hour or so. And however, we have invited my friend, an artist, Anna White, to discreetly document the showing tonight. Although I don't think it will be discreet, actually. I think that's what we're coming to. She will, it's part of the performance, which makes a lot of sense. So if you see her wandering around, please do not be alarmed. It is an invitation. So, let me just check my notes. The first context. The first context is it's midsummer, and it is a bright blue, cloudless sky. And it's already warm in the morning of December the 19th, 2018. And I am lying on a bed. I'm lying on the bed of the doctor, my local GP. And I'm showing her a rash on my stomach and on my thighs and under my right armpit. And I say to her, I think I've been bitten by a spider, and I just want to know what to do about it. And so she examines the rash on my body, and especially the rash under my right armpit. And she says, I don't think you've been bitten by a spider. I think you need an X-ray, and I think you need it now. She makes a phone call and she asks me to go to see the radiologist. And so I find myself on this midsummer day, for the second time, lying on a bed in the office or the rooms of the radiologist. And she is smearing petroleum jelly all over my breasts with her cold, gloved hands. And she takes a white, looks like a mouse, like a computer mouse, but I presume it is not that. And she rubs it all over my breasts, across the jelly, and perhaps this sounds very erotic, but I assure you, it was not that. However, she's smiling, and her face is very sunny, like the day. And over the minutes of her rubbing my breasts, her face changes like the weather. It goes to being quite cloudy and then a bit stormy. And I say to her, "Is everything okay?" And she says, biting her lip and not making any eye contact, "It's very suspicious." And that is how I received my first breast cancer diagnosis. And that is the first context. The second context. It is the 5th century. The year is 445. And a young noblewoman is walking from the church back to her house with her maid, and her name is Agatha. And Agatha is 14 years old, and she is radiant. She's a shining. Her honey-coloured hair is glistening in the afternoon sun. And she's like a bird of bliss, because she is devotedly in love with Jesus Christ. She has given her body to become a bride of Christ. And as she walks back to her house, a dark shadow falls across her path. And in front of her is a Roman general who sees this young, shining virgin and immediately desires her and pursues her and makes a series of sexual and powerful advances towards her, which she rejects. And he gets so infuriated by her rejections that he takes her to a prison and he cuts off her breasts. And many centuries later, a famous Italian painter draws a portrait, a painting of Agatha, a serene young woman with her eyes lifted up to the heavens, holding a silver shallow platter with her breasts. And on the 5th of February, every day, every year to this date, if you go to Sicily, and you must, there is the Feast of Agatha, where they bake buns in the shape of breasts with little cherries on top, and you will eat them. That is the second context. Yes, the third context. It is the year 1862, and here we are in Temperance Hall at the start of Melbourne's colony. It's a dark, moonless night, and we have gathered in this very place to listen to a lecture, to drink coffee or lemonade, because in this part of Melbourne, now called South Melbourne, in 1864, it was not called South Melbourne. It was called Emerald Hill, because over there in this direction was an actual hill that rose out of what was otherwise swamps, lagoons, and salt marshes that went from the sea to the river. And out of those swamps rose a green, verdant hill. And before the colonists came, that hill was an incredibly significant site to the Bunurong people of the Eastern Kulin Nation. It was a place of great ceremony and gathering, song, dance. It was an incredibly sacred place. However, in order for it to be taken, in order to dispossess our first people from their connection to the country, in order to drain the wetlands, which the colonists did, in order to subdivide the hill, which they did, in order to build the grand South Melbourne Town Hall, which to this day stands on that hill, which they did, they had to dispossess and oust the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. And they gave them many things in order to do that. And one of the things that they gave them was disease. That is the third context. The fourth context is, at this time, in Melbourne's colony, another kind of disease was washing through the marshlands of this particular place. It was alcoholism. Because instead of water, there was gold flowing through Melbourne from the gold rushes of the Victorian goldfields. And Melbourne was fast becoming one of the richest cities in the world, and also one of the most chaotic. And there was a lot of public drunkenness, because drinking alcohol was at the center of the social life of the early colonists. So I hope you're enjoying your drink tonight. Cheers. And such places as this one, this is a very important headquarters, this Temperance Hall, but there are other Temperance Halls across Victoria, were built to have concerts, gatherings, advocacy, political meetings, lectures, education, and dances without alcohol. And here, you would have stood. Here, some of you might have taken a pledge for total abstinence for the rest of your life. And here, you might have brought your children because it was particularly important for the next generations. And here, there would have been concerts under the title Band of Hope. And that is the fourth context. The final context is we will go to the land of some of our early colonists, back in time to the 11th century, to the open moors of Scotland. And we will stand, or we will walk with Macbeth as he is lost in thought, in ambition, in great pride, in the open moors, which is a place where the human and the supernatural meet. And in this dark winter night, he sees a fire burning, and Macbeth sees steam coming out of a dark cauldron, and he sees, or he smells, what is it? Lizard's legs? Newt tails? Dragon blood. 3 women are standing around this cauldron, and they are saying, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and owlet's wing, for a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth, boil and bubble. And that is the fifth context for this showing. And this is Act 1 of After Agatha. And I invite you to take your seats in the theatre